Alright folks, welcome back to episode 3 in our flow series, and today we are talking about something that sounds like coffee preferences. Yes, that is hot versus cold. No, we are not discussing cold brew versus hot latte, but honestly that comparison would still help you understand flows. Okay, so today's episode is going to be very fun. We are talking about hot versus cold flows, and trust me, once you hear the coffee shop story, you will never forget the difference again. And this video has only one job: make sure you completely understand hot versus cold flows with zero confusion. Okay, so let's begin with the problem statement first. What problem are we solving today? So before we actually jump into hot and cold fight, we should ask ourselves, like, when we collect a flow, is the data created fresh for us, or when we are tapping into a stream that was already running? Okay, so that's the exact problem hot versus cold flows solve. Okay, so we will understand first is what is a cold flow. Okay, cold flow is basically something that starts producing data when someone collects. Each collector gets their own data stream, and it is perfect for network calls or database reads. In a simple level language, I would say whenever there is something there to collect, right? For example, there is a music player. Okay, if you will not tap on the play button, it is not going to be played automatically, right? There should be someone to listen, and there should be someone to press on the play button, then only it will start emitting the music to you. That is what the cold flow is. Okay, so this is an example. Well numbers equals to flow, and it is emitting data after a certain delay of some milliseconds. Okay, so every time someone collects the numbers, it starts from 1 again. Folks, you can definitely give it a try in your Android studio. Okay, you will see both the collectors get the same number 1 and 2 freshly emitted each time, which means if there is an emission of numbers from 1 to 100 and there are different collectors to collect it, the intention or the theory says that each of the collectors will receive the entire list of numbers emitted from 1 until 100. They won't miss any numbers in the cold flow. That is what the cold flow is meant for. Okay, now we will understand what is a hot flow. So hot flow says it produces data continuously even without collectors. Collectors join midway, and good for UI states, events and sockets. So now imagine a live barista making coffee in the cafe. He is brewing continuously. Okay, if you walk in late, you don't get the full brewing history, of course, only what he's making now. That's what you will see, right? That is a hot flow for you. So yeah, if you show up late, the barista is not going to rewind the entire process for you to make the coffee. Same with happens with the hot flow. From wherever you will start receiving the data, you will receive or you will see the data from that place only. Let's say same example which I showed you here. In case the emission of numbers 1 to 100 and there are two collectors, collector A and collector B. If collector A starts immediately, the moment the emission starts, it may receive from 1 to 100. But if collector B starts after a few seconds or few minutes, for example, then it probably may not be able to retrieve or may not be able to see the already emitted data, because in hot flow it will not stop for someone to wait, someone to collect. It will keep on emitting the data continuously even there is no collector to it. That is what the hot flow is all about. Okay, so this is the example, guys. This flow basically emits numbers. That's what I just told. Collectors basically tune into the radio station, so it is same as a radio station only, which basically doesn't wait for the listeners to listen to the songs. Rather, it keeps on emitting the data, it keeps on emitting the music or the songs to you without knowing the fact that there is someone to receive or to listen to the music or not. That is what the hot flow is. Okay, so to understand exactly again about cold versus hot, the cold coffee shop story is the simplest example. The cold flow says it will brew, the brew will start only when you press the button, versus hot, barista is brewing all day. I hope you have understood the difference between both of them. Now it is up to you. You ask yourself if you want your coffee brewed only when you ask, that is a cold flow, or do you want a barista brewing even before you arrive, that is a hot flow for you. It all depends whichever you want to go with. That is what the cold versus hot flow says. Okay, now the side by side difference between cold and hot says that the features are produces data, late collector, and use cases. So how cold versus hot flow react into this is, it produces only when there is a collector, but in case of hot, it keeps on producing continuously or immediately. Late collector, it gets full sequence, of course, yes, and hot, in case of hot, it will get the latest, or it may not get anything. Yes, the use cases are API or DB. The use cases are for hot is UI states and events like the broadcast receivers, the toast, the pop-ups or the messages, which probably you may not see, but it will keep on emitting. Like for example, there's an error on the network call, so you will immediately see the snack bar or the toast, right? So that is the use case of hot flow. But in case of cold, when you make the API call on tapping of button, then only you will start receiving the data. That is the cold flow. Okay, now to understand when to use what is basically what I am going to explain it to you now. Cold flow you use when there is a request, network request, the database reads, or the operation you want to want repeated per collector. But in case of hot flow, you may use it when you have shared UI state, of course, when there are live updates, like for example toast messages or snack bars, and there is an event broadcasting. These are the places where probably we may decide as a developer which thing we want to use where. Okay, now to have a quick thought, hot flows can lose events, yes. Hot flows need buffer or replay, yes. Cold flows do repeated work, yes. That is all true. When you have lost some data, in case of hot flow, there is an opportunity or option for you to replay the data, the last emitted data, by using the replay button or replay option, but that is not provided. That provision is not there in case of cold flow. That is only there for the hot flows. Okay, so the final takeaways, I hope by now this hot versus cold flows shouldn't feel confusing anymore to you. Just remember, you are either tuning into a radio station, that is a whole hot one, or you are pressing a button for your own fresh coffee, that is a cold one. So hot flows equals to ongoing radio, cold flows equals to on-demand Spotify song. That's what I gave you another example, right? When you tap on it, then only you will start receiving. That is a Spotify example. That is a cold flow. Simplest example about cold flow. Hot flows is ongoing radio. That is, of course, that's true, because they are not going to wait for you, right? So neither is better actually. They exist for different situation. It all depends actually. There is no comment like which one is best or which one is better. It all depends on the use case, which one you want to use and which one you want to avoid. So guys, that's it from my side, and in the next episode we will talk about StateFlow versus SharedFlow, which is basically nothing but the advanced version of the hot flows, since both of them falls under the hot flows category. And subscribe to my channel if you have really liked it, enjoying this series, and let's master Kotlin Flow series together. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.